Welcome to BenjiManTV. Today I'm going to show you how to cut onions. I get a lot of requests on my Twitter, Instagram, even comments in my YouTube videos on how to do it. So I'm going to bring you 3 different ways to cut your onions: a julienne, a chop, and a mince. Here we go. The first thing about cutting onions isn't about the way you cut it, but the tool you use, your knife. And my first tip is make sure your knife is very, very sharp. I know this is counterintuitive. You think, well, isn't that gonna make it more dangerous? It's actually gonna make it more safe, because more people cut themselves from a dull knife because it slips or it doesn't grip well or it doesn't slice and it moves and hits their finger than a sharp blade which just cuts right through whatever it is you're slicing. The first cut I'm gonna show you how to do is a cut I probably use the most, especially in a lot of Japanese dishes. It is going to be the thin wedge, or what you might call the julienne. Okay, first thing you need to understand is an onion, what the different parts are. There is the root side, the part where there's these little roots coming out, and then there's the stem side. If you guys have never seen, this actually grows out like this, like a long stem. Find your stem side, and all you're going to do is cut a nice straight flat slice right down the side. Bam! Put it on that flat surface, have the roots facing up, and I'll just find a good halfway point to cut right down the middle. It makes it super easy just to peel it, okay? And what I like to do is I actually like to peel not just the skin, but the first layer of onion, because it makes it so much easier to peel. First thing you're gonna do is cut this root part off, and you're gonna try to make the cut that you did on this side on the other side, okay? Just go straight down. Bam. Imagine there's a center point right here that you want your knife to get to. You're not always gonna hit it right there, but the idea is you're gonna go from the outside to the inside, okay? Let's just go right down it. Again, really important to have a sharp knife going from the outside in. So as you get to this edge, it starts to get a little shaky, and in my opinion a little dangerous, because you could hit your fingers. So what I like to do is go ahead and scoot over all your onions, flip this, and then you can go ahead and continue on. The next cut is the basic onion chop, okay? These are gonna be your basic pieces for like a stew or a soup. This is a typical slice that most people go to when they're cooking. I'm gonna show you how to do it to get very uniform pieces and in a safe way. You've got your onion half just like you did before, okay? This time you're gonna keep this root system because it's gonna help you keep it together as you're chopping, okay? All you're gonna do, very similar to the wedges, except you're gonna spread out your slices, okay? And you don't have to go at such an angle. Just go down like this, making sure not to overcut, because you want this piece right here to hold it together. You just do that all the way along the whole onion. Because you didn't chop this off, and because you didn't over slice, this root is holding this together. As you can see, I can kind of spread it apart and it's not falling apart because that root's holding it together. A little tip: curl your fingers back like this so that your knife is just hitting your knuckles and you don't risk chopping off your fingers. At this point, you just cut it to the size that you would like. I'm just going to do a regular square size chop. Now you could try to get more out of this, but you know what? Onions are so affordable. You don't want to risk cutting your fingers, so at this point I just throw this last little bit away. Alright, the next cut we're going to do is the mince. To get a mince, what you do, make sure you have a nice flat surface. This is going to give you a nice stable onion to be able to cut on. What you're going to do is you're going to cut vertical slices, and you're going to keep your slices as close to each other as possible. And you're going to do this all the way from one side to the other, and we'll go right into it, okay? And this time we're not doing it at an angle at all. We're just going straight down. So here we go. Go ahead and cut as close together as possible while not cutting all the way through. Again, just like the chop, you can see that I've got fairly thin slices here, but because I didn't cut the root off, I kept that, it's helping to keep it all together. At this point, you have two options. You can go right to chopping, or you can go an additional step to get an even more minced piece. And what a lot of people like to do is go horizontal like this. What you can do is just go down like that, and you can do it again down below. This is where the mince comes in. You want to cut this thing as small as possible, so you want to keep your slices as thin as possible by keeping the blade as close to the edge of the onion as possible. And here we go. And this, you're just going to cut straight down. What I suggest is not just cutting straight down, but kind of at an angle. It'll just make it easier for you to cut. There you go. Nice minced up pieces of onion. There you go. Those are 3 slices that a lot of people like to use when cooking any kind of food and utilizing onions. The last slice I actually use a tool for when you're making onion rings, which I need to do for like scalloped potatoes. I just use a mandolin. That is the best way to do it. When you're dealing with onions, like onion rings, and it's rolling around, and even with a sharp knife, it can be quite dangerous. So this is my favorite way to get onion rings. There's really no replacing the mandolin, and I'll put a link down below and to the other tools I use, including the sharpener I use for my knife, down in the info box. But there you go, onions, how to cut onions 3 different ways: julienne, chopped, and minced. This has been another episode of BenjiManTV. If you like this video and you appreciated learning how to cut this onion, tell me what other vegetables or fruits you want to see cut in videos like this, and put it down in the comments area. Make sure you subscribe to BenjiManTV, and thanks for watching. Started to cry a little bit.